right, we're gonna talk about guitar riffs. Guitar riffs are really rad. Specifically, what we're gonna do here today is we're going to talk about one singular guitar riff and how different elements here and there, like the guitar you're playing and the amp you're using, the pedals that you got, how all those can completely change the cadence and the attitude of said riff. So we're going to go ahead and play this song called Natural. This is a song on my band's debut album, Dead Sullivan. It's self-titled, so both the album and the band's name is Dead Sullivan. This is a riff that we came up with, yeah, it's one of my favorite riffs. So, yeah, pretty standard. In that setting, it just sounds like kind of, basic little, nice little blues lick. It's pretty nice. I love that riff. So I'm gonna switch guitars real quick and we will discuss further. All right, so now we're gonna bust out this here classical guitar. So whereas this APX 500 right there kind of has that classic blues sound, I just love the classic bluesiness that you get out of that. This one's got more of a classical Spanish style sound. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all know. So this one, I will say with that one, I definitely use a pick most of the time. Specifically, I was using a Dunlop Jazz 3. This is the, I forget exactly which edition this one is. Anyway, it's a cool black one. I like that. It's my favorite pick probably on the planet. For this, I feel no reason to play with a pick. So you'll definitely hear a lot of cadence differences and attitude switch up in here. So, same riff. So, got here, this is my main tool. I love this guitar. It was a Squier Telecaster, classic vibe. Now it's really under the category of a parts caster. A few things to discuss here. So, what I've got here, I've got this full contact Babix bridge. This bridge adds a lot of tone. Kind of darkens it up due to the full contact aspect. It just sounds so beast. Now I've got upgraded pots in here, so the signal is nice and crisp coming out of these pickups. Now the pickups here are the main thing that I want to discuss with you. So these pickups are EMG Telecaster style pickups. They're obviously EMG's take on the classic T style pickup. They are active. So they actually have power coming in through a battery pack, which I have tucked in here. You do need to replace that every once in a while. So rather than having the power come through my signal chain from the wall, it's being powered by themselves. That gives it a much higher output. Oftentimes that means it'll distort, which with a lot less gain coming from the amp. So this is actually as clean as the amp really allows itself to get, and now of course I can definitely get cleaner tones from a different amp. This is my Boss Katana, great amp, it's my practice amp, I love it. I don't really play any like clean stuff through it that much. But on my EVH, I definitely get much cleaner tones by doing a bunch of different things. Of course, you can also use your pots to dial back on some of those harsher tones. That's what we're gonna do here, actually. So what I'm gonna actually do is I'm gonna switch this up into 25 watt mode. Much louder. So naturally, that's what it sounds like with your pots fully contorted. We're gonna dial back, actually. We're gonna cut some of that treble, and we're gonna play up in the neck position. So we'll go back to the riff. You'll find that I am absolutely incredible at being sidetracked. So we're gonna throw on my compressor pedal. What that does, that takes the signal, smashes it, right? So there's not gonna be a lot of difference between if I really pick it volume-wise and if I go soft. So that's a really nice tool that a lot of people use for clean noises. So here's the difference there. So with that compressor, this is one of my favorite tones, just straight up compressor and guitar, amp on clean, dialed back, neck position. Let's go. Fun, always a classic, love it. Now we're gonna actually stick with pretty much that same tone, just a little bit dialed back on that volume and a little bit dialed back on my tone. We're gonna add some reverb. We're gonna have a little fun with that. I'm keeping the compressor this time, right? Let's actually really juice that up for you guys. And we're gonna give y'all some good old pre-decay. Beautiful. I don't know that I would ever throw that much reverb on for recording or live in most situations, but for this we're gonna have some fun. I mean, that is just good, clean fun. So now we're going to keep both of those pedals. I am going to definitely dial back on the reverb, take out some of the decay on that pedal. Now we're going to actually add some chorus to that. Now, that is a lot of effects going on. The compressor is kind of just still doing its thing. It's not really anything crazy, just keeping it nice and sweet and pristine. And we're going to add some chorus. Now, chorus, tons of bands like Pink Floyd, Van Halen. Almost every Van Halen song you ever heard had some good old chorus on there. Tons of other artists obviously out there, but just to name a couple. Great. For this, I'm actually going to dial back my tone. I'm going to add back in my tone a little bit more and stay dial back on my volume. This is going to add a fun little chorusy element. Literal like choir chorus is what that is. Actually, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to really, really crank that for you guys so you guys can see what that's like. I've got the whole thing dialed at like 2 o'clock. Again, I wouldn't do this. Fun. Alright, so now we're going to get to the fun stuff over here, as if we weren't already there. All guitar is fun. We're going to actually put on some good old distortion. I'm definitely a rock guitarist at heart. So now you can probably hear, I've got, if I turn that volume, I've got tons of feedback. Right? So what's going to happen, I'm going to throw my noise suppressor pedal, at least stop it from interrupting my signal. So that's my raw sound from the amp. We're definitely going to go into my bridge pickup, and we're fully torqued over here. Right? We want all the signal we can get. Alright, fine, we're not going there yet. Yeah, all of a sudden you're like, wow, that's a rock song? And the answer is yes, it is. So what I'm actually going to do, now you can tell that was really harsh sounding. So I'm actually going to turn down my trebles a little bit, my treble and my mids. We're going to keep that at bay. We're going to crank that bass, get a little bit of a, kind of clarity through the bass. It'll sound real nice. We're going to turn up the gain just a titch. And with that being said, I'm going to turn down the master just a little bit. As if it's a tube amp, Maxx, idiot. But see how that's a little less harsh now. Okay, we're having fun over here, so I'm going to do something I wouldn't really do for this riff live. But we're just going to go ahead and throw on my tube screamer. Basically, the tube screamer does exactly that. Takes a normal guitar chain and it makes it zing. Same thing here. I wouldn't keep it on these levels live. I just don't need them for this, but for the video, we're having fun. And we're going to crank that. So, here's without. Here's with. Just so we're clear, this would never work for this riff in any physical sense.